Hi, Sierra Frost here with Invitation Wellness. I just parked my car and I'm like, what do I do with my keys? It's getting dark out. So, naked in public today, I just saw a really intelligent and wonderful friend of mine who is really good at being masculine and kind of coming into his masculinity lately. And one of the things we were talking about is just this idea, this balance of being masculine and feminine in relationships, all types of relationships. And like part of being masculine is being in control. And that doesn't mean that nobody else's opinion matters or that you are not asking questions about what other people want or what's best for the whole, of course, but that there's a certain stability and container and space that's being held. And then feminine is like within that space expression and embodiment of that concept. And so one example that I thought of as we were talking is the idea of facilitating a conversation, and that what is in a group, I guess, what would be masculine about that would be like setting ground rules or an agenda of topics. And so that's the container, that's what's going to happen, that's the control of the communication. But then the feminine part would be, how do we actually express that? What is the improvisation of topics that come up? What is the feelings that come up? How do we apply those ideas into our life? And so I have a friend right now that I am kind of, I don't know, communicating some things about our friendship that feel like we're not on the same page with, I guess. And there's this beautiful bird chirping here right now. And so I've been thinking about being in this conversation and how do I show up in a feminine way and allow him to be in control in a masculine way. And that maybe sometimes that's confusing for us, like men and women, all genders, to be this balance of masculine and feminine energy, and how does it show up for us in a way that makes sense. In business, I might be a lot more masculine because I am in control of what I want. When I coach, I'm probably a lot more masculine because I'm holding a space and a container for people to express themselves, to be fully who they are and have that experience knowing that I'm holding them there. And even sometimes in yoga, when I'm teaching yoga, I feel that way. Like I am holding the space of this room, and it allows for other people to embody whatever their experience is in a more feminine way, in less control, in more improvisation, in more feeling and expression. So I guess my question is just, when do these things come up for you? Is it like, do you feel more masculine in your business life, in your relationships? And if it's your relationships, is it your friendships? Is it your parent and child relationship? Is it when you're the child? Is it when you are friends with a certain dynamic or people that you met in a certain space? Is it even like at the grocery store with strangers? I've been noticing this lately, like allowing men to open the door for me, or even carry things that I don't need to be carried. Like I call this Alaskan woman syndrome, but it's really not limited to Alaska, where I often want to be like, well, this isn't heavy. I don't need someone to carry it. I don't need someone to hold the door open. So like, why is this even happening? Instead of recognizing like that's part of expressing masculinity, is to be helpful and to be in control and to provide for me. And so, yeah, you can carry my bag. Absolutely. You can hold the door open for me. You can let me know how to change my headlight, even though I already know how. That's fine. Because if I don't allow someone to do that, I'm actually stopping them from being able to express fully who they are and to be who they are. And I love being who I am, and I want to be able to express that. And so I want to support whatever that is by allowing myself to be protected, to be cared for, to be in a space that's controlled, that's safe. I'm cool with that. So where in your life is this coming up with what kinds of people, in what kinds of life? So what I mean by that is what kinds of life is like business, personal, romantic, family, friends, health, all of these different ways. And I'm curious about your answers. When do you show up as more feminine? When do you show up as more masculine? And when are you noticing those dynamics? I'm really interested in this conversation and having some more dialogue around it. I think it's extremely important to our culture, not just in relationships, but beyond that, into trauma and abuse and the Me Too movement and domestic violence. And, because all of that starts with this kind of underlying idea that we can't be us and that we are harmed, we are stopped from being us, and there's a lot of shame in that, which seems like it's extreme, but it starts somewhere, and then it just continues to cycle, and as it cycles it gets bigger and the energy snowballs, and that's how we end up in these spaces of violence and abuse and harassment and all of these things that so many of us experience, sometimes on a daily basis. And so I think this conversation is so important, and I'd really like to hear your input in the comments below.